never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking some NFL regular season games, but first wanted to quickly say thank you to this week's sponsor, Arden Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. Make sure to tell Donnie and Angie that the fanboys sent you. Make sure to try the double dipped wings or the famous macaroni and cheese chili dog. That's Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina in the Walmart parking lot beside Dollar Tree. Call ahead at 864-639-5368 or check them out online at ardensburgerandgrill.com. But starting today, the NFL plays the final week of the regular season. Of course, the playoffs start next weekend. There are 2 games today, no game on Monday night, so 2 games today, and there was no game Thursday night, so everything else will be tomorrow. Today we have the Chiefs and the Raiders at 4:30, and the Titans and the Jaguars at 8:15. Now, the winner of the Titans-Jaguars game wins that division. If the Jaguars win the game, they win the division with a record of 9-8. But if the Titans win the game, they win the division at 8-9. I think the Titans were actually 7-3, and they've lost 6 straight games. I believe that's correct. They've just fallen apart. Now, a lot of people are up in arms right now about the Chiefs because the game Monday night that was postponed is not going to be made up. So the Bengals and the Bills are only going to play 16 games, and every other team is going to play 17 games. So the Chiefs right now, if they win today and beat the Raiders, they will be 14-3. But Roger Goodell says they will not host the AFC Championship game because the Bills also have a chance to only have 3 losses, but they'll only have 13 wins because of the game Monday night getting postponed. And he doesn't want the Chiefs to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs because Roger Goodell feels like it wouldn't be right because you're punishing the Bills for a game that won't get made up. Or you're punishing the Bengals for a game that won't get made up. But what they're going to do is if it comes down to the Chiefs and the Bills, is they're going to play the game at a neutral site. But where that neutral site is, nobody knows as of right now. There's 2 ways you could fix this. Roger Goodell makes $35 million a year. He has the authority, he has the power to come out and say, okay, Kansas City, whether we like it or not, y'all are 14-3. You have the best record in the AFC. You've got home field advantage. Because I can go ahead and tell you, if he was to do that, the Bills wouldn't care. All they care about is that Damar Hamlin looks like he's going to be okay. So the last thing on their mind is home field advantage. Plus, they played Kansas City last year in Kansas City and outplayed them until the final 2 minutes of the game. So we know that Buffalo can beat Kansas City in Kansas City. You can fix it that way, or instead of the playoffs starting next week in both the AFC and the NFC, you could have the playoffs start next week, but only in the NFC, and then the AFC can make up the game between the Bengals and the Bills, and then the following weekend, the AFC playoffs start. That way you have a true number one seed in the AFC, whether it's Cincinnati or Buffalo or Kansas City. But none of this is going to matter if the Chiefs lose today to the Raiders, as long as the Bills win tomorrow, because if the Chiefs lose today, it's their fourth loss. But as of right now, they're 13-3, and Buffalo sits at 12-3. But that just goes to show this day and time, the world has gotten so soft. Roger Goodell doesn't want to make the Chiefs mad and doesn't want to make the Bills or Bengals mad. So he's just going to have the game played at a neutral site. But what sucks is the fact they won't say where that neutral site is, because you think about it, it being in January, more than likely, if the game was in Kansas City, it would be cold. If the game was in Buffalo, it would be cold. And more than likely in one, if not both those places, it would be snowing. What if the place they make it up in is Atlanta? Not saying it would be, but what if it is? You're talking about Buffalo being 10 degrees. Atlanta might be 35. So the game would be played out completely different, because there'd be no wind chill factor, there'd be no snow, there'd be little wind. So they need to go ahead and say where that neutral site will be. But I guess they're going to wait and see what transpires this weekend, because if the Chiefs lose today or the Bengals or Bills lose tomorrow, none of this really matters. And then we have the Browns and the Steelers, the Ravens and the Bengals, the Vikings and the Bears, the Patriots and the Bills, the Jets and the Dolphins, the Cardinals and the 49ers, the Bucks and the Falcons, the Panthers and the Saints. And then we have the Texans and the Colts. And is this going to be Jeff Saturday's last game as the head coach of the Colts? Because the man can't coach, that's obvious. But there's a big rumor going around that him and Colts owner Jim Irsay are drinking buddies. And if that's the case, I don't know that Jim Irsay is going to run off his drinking buddy. So Jeff Saturday may get that job permanently, even though he's an absolute clown. Then we have the Cowboys and the Commanders. And the Commanders have announced that Carson Wentz will be inactive, and they're going to start Sam Howell, who has been their third-string quarterback all year long and has not played one down all year. The Rams and the Seahawks, the Giants and the Eagles, the Lions and the Packers, and the Chargers and the Broncos. Now, there are still many teams in both the AFC and the NFC who have a chance to make the playoffs. So I'm not going to sit here and take up all of your time to tell you what has to happen for each team to get in. It would take a long time, and it's convoluted, and you probably wouldn't remember. So the best thing I can tell you is, if you're a fan of a team that you think has a playoff shot or might have a playoff shot, get on NFL.com and read all the scenarios on what has to happen for each team to get in, because there are very few teams on either side that have actually been officially eliminated. Most teams still have a shot to get in, so this should be an exciting weekend. And in case you have not heard, which I'm sure you have, but in case you have not heard the full details on Damar Hamlin, I believe it was Wednesday night that they were saying he was awake but couldn't talk, but it looked like his brain was functioning pretty well. And the first thing he did was write a note to the doctor and said who won the game, which tells you that if his brain is not fully functioning, it's close, because he's aware of the fact that he got hurt in the game, and he's aware of the fact that he's in the hospital because of that. So that tells you he knows everything that happens. If his brain is not fully functioning, it's close. And then Thursday, they said he spoke for the first time. And then yesterday, word came down that he did a Zoom conference call with his teammates. So it sounds like he's going to be okay. Still not quite exactly sure how it happened, what happened, but it does sound like Damar Hamlin's going to be okay. After all, he told his team two things. One was, I love you guys, and two was, the power of prayer is awesome. So that's a quick update on Damar Hamlin in case you have not heard everything that is going on. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Hopefully, I will see some of you tonight at 4:05 Community Court in Monroe, Georgia for Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Bell time will be 7 o'clock. If you've came before, I hope to see you again. If you have not came before and you come tonight, feel free to walk up to me before the show or intermission and speak to me and tell me who you are. I would love to meet anybody that comes to the show tonight. And I apologize for my voice. I know I sound like Steve Urkel, but I have this awful cold that I just cannot seem to get rid of. I feel fine. I'm just talking funny. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the horse say after it tripped? Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.